Well, welcome back to Life on Cars. I hope you're all keeping well. And in today's episode, we're back on the Rolls-Royce. So now that the car is up and running and cleaned, we're moving on to some of the mechanical jobs that need doing on the car. And those of you that are regulars on Life on Cars, you know that I do like to tackle the difficult jobs first. And then as we get through the project, hopefully things will get a bit easier. So I'm going to start off with tackling one of the problems that I've had since the car's been up and running. I've moved it around on the drive a little bit. I've had the engine running, and every time I start it up, it's coming up with low brake pressure and brake warning lights. So let's find out what I've done to try and solve that problem. But before we get onto that, I have actually had a bit of a result in terms of storing the Rolls-Royce. So come on, let's find out what that is. Let's go. Well, I've just pulled it into the garage for the first time. We're right up to as far as we can go at this end of the garage. And you know, we're not far off at all there. Not far off at all. I wonder, because I need to take this back bumper off anyway, because I need to fix the corner, because the corner's loose. I need to investigate that. I wonder how easy it is to take this back bumper off, because that might mean the car will go in the garage and I can shut the door. Well, it turns out you can get the bumper off one of these in about 10 minutes. So if it's that easy to take the bumper off, then if it means it'll go in the garage for winter, that'll be fantastic, won't it? Okay, so there's basically two bolts, and then the sides unclip once you've slackened the bolts off, and then the bumper comes out. So yeah, you've got basically two bolts, one here and one here, and then the way the sides clip on, they've got this spring-loaded bracket here, which just slots down into two bolts on the side of the car, these ones here. So you just slacken them off a bit, and then that spring-loaded bracket comes off. But I can see already what the problem is on the other side. So yeah, this is the side that was broken with the crack in it. Whether it's been hit at something at some point, I don't know, but basically the bracket has corroded off, sadly. So I'll need to figure out a way of reattaching the spring-loaded bracket back on there. Yeah, so unfortunately that's corroded off there and broken off, sadly. So I'm going to have to figure out a way of reattaching that, or maybe putting a metal plate in there and then attaching that back on. But what this means is, with the back bumper off, the car fits in the garage. Door shut properly and locked. That's fantastic. Oh man, that means that I can store this car in here over winter and do jobs over winter inside. So I'm over the moon with that. I mean, we're basically talking millimeters spare, but at least I can get it in and do jobs over the winter, so I'm well pleased about that. Doesn't it look shiny in the garage under the lights? By God, I put some effort into that paintwork, I'll tell you. Hours and hours. Fun fact, the width of a Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit 3 bumper is the same distance between the front and back wheels on a Toyota MR2 Mark II. So what we're getting, the reason why we're doing this job, we're getting this brake light here staying on constantly, even when the engine's been running for a few minutes. And we get brake pressure as well. So hopefully this accumulator sphere job will cure this, but we shall see. So what about parts then? So as a newbie to Rolls-Royce ownership and maintenance and repair, I didn't really know where to go, but I quite quickly came across this company called IntroCar, and a bit of Googling and looking online, and it would appear that they are the #1 choice for parts for Rolls-Royce and Bentley. So I got in touch with IntroCar and I was blown away by the support that I've been given. So not only are the parts readily available for the suspension spheres, but it was the technical advice as well that I received. So there was a guy called Matt who I was speaking to at IntroCar, and we were chatting about the warning lights on the dashboard, and he recommended that the best thing to do first of all would be to go for a full set of spheres, so the two accumulators at the front and then the 2 rear suspension spring spheres as well, because he reckons that you can probably get about 7 or 8 years out of them before they start to deplete the gas inside. So that's the plan. So I ordered the parts from IntroCar, and they've come from their Prestige parts range. And again, I think I ordered them on the Monday at sort of 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the parts were here at the house literally the next day at dinner time. I mean, blown away by the service. So yeah, and the technical support, I can't thank IntroCar enough for that, because like I say, I've never worked on a Rolls-Royce before. So having a company that can not only give you technical advice, but provide you with top quality parts kind of overnight, well, you can't do better than that, can you? So anyway, what have we got? So we've got 2 accumulator spheres. They appear to be the same part number, so it looks like they're both the same. And then the 2 rear suspension spheres as well. So we're going to start off with the 2 accumulator spheres first, because I think they're probably going to be the most challenging to get at. And we'll see how we get on. So yeah, these look really good quality, and it looks like they all come with a new seal, which is good news. And I think what we need to do when we fit these is put a little bit of fresh suspension LHM fluid on the seal. And then the seal, I think it's best to locate the seal in the valve block first, and then screw the sphere up. I've read online that these can be really, really tight, and I can remember years and years ago working on a Citroen Xantia. A good friend of mine had a couple of Citroen Xantias, and we had to do various jobs on the suspension. Because remember, on these Rolls Royces, this is basically a Citroen suspension system and braking system. Very similar. And yeah, I can remember working on these Citroens in the past, and people can say that these can be really, really tight. It's not so much that they get tight, because they, you know, it's like putting an oil filter on. You basically put it on and wind it down until it stops, and then there's no need to go mad. It's just because the thing is round, you can't get hold of it, and quite often the way this is designed, obviously it will get to the back of the threads and then lock, and it just needs a bit of a shove sometimes. So I'm hoping that my big eagle beaks, as they're called, or maybe water pump pliers round here, we should be able to get it off. So wish me luck. Right, so I've got the car up in the air on some axle stands, and the other thing I've done is popped off the knee side front wheel here, so I can get a bit more access when I'm laid underneath. So you can actually see one of the accumulator spheres just there, and there's like a heat shield or some sort of shield for protecting the sphere The other one's a bit higher up, could be a bit more awkward to get to. But it looks like the first thing I need to do is to get this shield off. So yeah, I'm gonna get this unbolted. Looks like it's got some little bolts on it. Have a bit of a degrease down under here, and then see where we depressurize the system. 5/16. Right, so I've had a little wipe off and I can see the bottom sphere here, which is fairly accessible, he says, before he tries to get it off. But the second one is higher up, as you can see there, which could end up being a bit more tricky to get to. But I think with this one off first, then obviously it'd be easy to get up there and try and get something onto the second sphere. I can see the pressure relief valves, so I'll just put a spanner on so you can see. So on this lower sphere, I'm going to be slackening off that little fella there, and that will release any pressure that's left in the system. Like I said at the start of the video, I'm not getting any reserve brake pressure anyway, so I'm not expecting a huge amount of pressure in this. Car's been off for a few days as well. I've done the old pump in the pedal, and there isn't any brake pressure, so there shouldn't. We'll wait and see. We'll see what happens when I crack that off, and then we'll see if we can tackle getting this first sphere off. Okay, let's see what happens then when I slacken this off. I've got a rag underneath in case anything comes out. That didn't hear anything, so I presume that means there's not absolutely nothing, no noise. That feels like it's about to come all. Oh yeah, we're getting a bit of fluid now, so a little bit of fluid dribbling out. See that? So I think there's no pressure now because there's been no hissing noises. So yeah, just a bit of fluid coming out. So I'm going to just put that back on its seat so we don't get loads of fluid pinging out everywhere. And I'm going to try and slacken this sphere off now. So my first tool of choice is going to be my big eagle beaks, and we'll see how we get on. That's tight. Okay, so I've been at this for a bit with these big eagle beaks, and it's not moving, but I'm going to go and get myself a cup of tea and have a think about this, see where we can go. So what I've ended up doing, I didn't really want to do this, but I think what the sphere needs is a bit of a sharp knock just to loosen it off. So I've got this big pry bar here and my big hammer, and I'm basically going to give it a bit of a whack and see if that'll loosen it off. I think it's moved. Right, I've got a drift tray underneath ready. I'm expecting some fluid. Yes, it's definitely moving. There we are. I think I can get that by hand now. So let's get the rag ready. Let's see what happens. fair bit of fluid's come out. Okay. Gonna need to have a bit of a clean round up here, aren't I? I can see the seal in there as well. Well guys, I did have to resort to giving the top one a bit of a whack as well. But it only took a couple of whacks. And it's come loose, so I'm well chuffed. Let's get this one off as well. So I've already checked that I've depressurized the system, so hopefully we shouldn't get too much of a mess. Oh, missed the bucket. Okay, there's the second one off. Fantastic. Made a bit of a mess though. Oops. Oh well, glad I put a bit of cardboard down. Alright, you can see my two valve bodies there. I've just had a little wipe over, but I'm going to give them a bit more of a clean. I'm going to get the old seals out now, if I can. Just going to use a sharp screwdriver just to get the old rubber seals out. There we are, there's one out. And I need to reach up there and get the second seal out. And then the plan will be to put the seals back in here and then screw the spheres in afterwards. But a bit more cleaning, I think. There's a lot of old dirt knocking around these valve bodies, so I'm going to have a bit more of a wipe around and then screw the new spheres in. Right, I'm going to lubricate my new seals with a bit of fresh LHM. And then we'll pop them into place. There we are. One last wipe of that little bit of fluid that's leaking out. And we'll pop our new seal in. There's the new seal. Oops. Come on. A bit tricky to find the thread. I can't be far off at that. There we are, I think. Yep. Just check that seal still looks alright. Yeah, the seal's still in the right place, I think. I think I'm going to just nip these both. I've nipped the top one with my big grips, just I'm happy it's seated. I mean, you can feel them bottom out, which is probably enough, but just for precaution, I think I'm just going to give it a tiny nip with my grips. Rag over the jaws like that. And just get hold of it and give it a bit of a nip down. Not being the easiest thing to do, these lying on your back, but oh, you can see it move just a little bit more there. Right, we're all back on, so we're still jacked up, so I can see what's going on. The procedure is, by the book, it says to slacken those 2 bleed screws on the accumulator blocks 1 full turn, leave them slack, start the engine up, run it at 1500 RPM for 1 minute, close those, and then we should be good to go. Obviously keep an eye on the fluid level. So I've already had the engine running with those bleed valves open for a minute. So I'm going to start it up now. I've just locked them off again. So I'm going to start it up now and see what happens to the brake pressure lights on the dashboard. Right, so the brake pressure light's gone off. And we've just got the handbrake light on. Still got the brake light on here. I'm just going to go and check for leaks. Doesn't appear to be any major leaks. So yes, with the handbrake off, we got no warning lights. Oh, that's great news. Fantastic. I've never seen that with no warning lights before. Excellent. Right, I'm going to run it up again and I'm going to do the brake pump test to see if there's any reserve pressure. So let's do that now. Run it up for a couple of minutes. Right, I've had it running for a couple of minutes. Let's just knock it off now. And then we'll pop the ignition back on and see how much we've got on the brake pedal reserve. Let's see now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 20. Right, I got to about 45 there. So happy days. I think 45 is a good result. We didn't have the engine on very long, so yeah. So we've got the brake pressure lights back on again now. Let's just, one last thing, let's check they go back off when we start the engine again. All right, let's see what happens. Got the pressure warning lights back on again. Go for a start, see how quickly they go off. Straight off, that's good. Happy days. Well, there we go then. That was a bit of a result, wasn't it? That's a big load off my mind. It looks like we have solved the brake pressure issues. So it was those accumulator spheres all along. So many thanks to IntroCar and Matt for the advice and guidance on the technical side for diagnosing this job. Really appreciate it. So what's next on the Rolls-Royce? Well, it's most likely going to be those rear suspension spheres that need tackling next. But also look out for a new playlist that I'm starting with the Rolls-Royce. So you remember on the Jaguar we had the hidden features. So what I've decided to do for the Rolls-Royce is a similar thing, but we're going to actually call it Silver Spirit Secrets, because I've discovered a few things on this car as I've been going along already, which I think would be nice to share with you. So watch out for that, and that's coming soon. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well, drive carefully, and many thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to click on that subscribe button. That would really help. Give me a like, plenty of comments. I always try and reply or like the comments that are coming through. And apart from that, we'll see you very soon with something else on Life on Cars. Bye bye now. Bye bye.